welcome to the office at headquarters, which is really a bedroom. You can tell because it is a room that has a bed in it. But this is the first completed room here at headquarters, and I wanted to make a behind-the-scenes video going over what I guess these days is called my kit. And I've never done this before. I've shown some pieces that I use, but I figured I would, for once, go through everything that I use to make my average videos. First thing that is new is the location of my stuff and the desk. So nothing here is new except for the desk, which isn't even really that new. So the monitor is the same. It is the LG 43UD79B. It is an enormous 43-inch 4K monitor, which I still have not yet come to a conclusion on whether I really like it or not. The one thing that it may be is too tall. A 1440p ultra-wide might be fine, but the amount of real estate you get for video editing is really fantastic. So even though it's taller than I need it to be, it also comes in handy. And I do really like snapping 4 windows to keep track of 4 things on video release day, which that is also behind the scenes video that you can check out if you want to. This comes in handy all the time. But what I haven't shown you is actually the computer that it's plugged into. So I will get to that. But the other thing that is new, but not new, is I got another one of these things, another height adjustable desk from Jarvis. This is a much smaller one because this is a small room. And I could have moved the desk that was down here that I was using, but also I'm still using that desk. Just basically what I had been doing for the past 2 months is, or however long it's been that I've been making videos here, is I've had my laptop set up on a different desk plugged into another monitor, which has been okay. But I quickly found out that I was doing more editing work here than at home. And so I brought the desktop down here because this is a better editing experience. But I didn't want to bring the whole desk, so I ordered another one from Jarvis. This is just a more basic desk. It's not the really big one. Anyway, so let's show you the other stuff. So although this computer has certainly shown up in, I think it's been in some B-roll clips at some times in the past, this is my main editing rig. And this is a Power Spec. Now Power Spec is an in-house brand from the company Micro Center. And Micro Center is a relatively small computer store here in America. They have like 1 or 2 stores in every market. But they have been my go-to computer store forever and will always be so long as they sell these guys. Because when I bought this was a pre-built, and if memory serves, the components in here, if I were to just buy them separately and build them myself, which frankly I don't care to do. I've just been buying pre-builds, not because I'm lazy, but because I don't care. So maybe that does make me lazy. But anyway, the parts inside here would have been like $200 more than I paid for it because it was on sale. And although it is now probably 2 years old, it is still very competent and has specs that a lot of people would, I think, still consider pretty competent today. And it's glowing blue, of course, because this was sold as a gaming PC. So there's blue lights and, the big Cooler Master heatsink in there and an MSI graphics card. I think it's an MSI motherboard and G-Skill RAM, which I don't know if you can see, or I don't even know where it is. Oh, it's over there. I don't think you can see it, but anyway, it is really a gaming PC, but I use it for video editing because I really don't game at all. What video games I do play are like for PlayStation 2 because I'm nostalgic for it. I just don't spend money or time on new video games. But anyway, so spec-wise, this guy is rocking an Intel i7-7700K. Which I have not overclocked, even though I'm sure I could. I've never been in the BIOS of this machine at all. And it's got a GTX 1080, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 512 gigabyte SATA SSD. But, and then over to its right is a 4 terabyte external drive, which what I basically do now is I edit videos off of, oh, hang on, it's over here. For a while now, I've been editing videos. I've been putting all my raw files on this Samsung T5 drive because I can bring it to and from home and now work with me. So what happens is I do all the editing on that drive, edit from or render from this drive to the desktop, and then put the rendered file back on the drive and dump that onto there. And then it stays on there for a little while, and then I eventually back it up to 2 separate, I have redundant portable drives, which I actually need to order a couple more because the ones I had were full. That's just a power strip with not a lot plugged into it because there's another one under the desk with other stuff plugged into it. Also, this is just a neat little fun fact that maybe you'd appreciate. This power cord should go to a blue iMac G3, which I have in the basement, but I have made it a tradition to use this on my main computer, so I keep moving this AC supply cord. I like that it has the clear ends. I am a dork, but anyway, so that's why a circa 2001-ish Apple power cord is plugged in there, because that's the power cord I use. I forgot to mention that the Blu-ray disc drive I added to this, it was my computer previous to this one. It had a Blu-ray disc drive, and I decided to steal it for this PC. So it did come with this optical drive, but I have the Blu-ray drive, and honestly, neither of them get much use anymore because it's 2019. The one thing this computer is disappointing about, you'll notice it has audio and 2 USB 2 ports and 2 USB 3 ports and another USB 2. Unfortunately, there is no USB-C port because this is a little early for that to be normal. However, there is one on the motherboard at the back. But the sucky thing is the SD card reader maxes out at about 40 megabytes per second. So when I offload from my camera, it typically takes about 15 to 20 minutes to get like the talking head video saved onto the drive, which, you know, my laptop is able to go twice as fast. But really, it doesn't bother me. I could definitely get like a USB 3 SD card reader that would be faster, but I haven't because, yeah, it's slow, but it's a small annoyance. As far as my keyboard and mouse, this is a Corsair K40 because one day I thought I should get a gaming keyboard, and I really have not. Again, I don't game, so I don't know why I have this. I should get a nice mechanical keyboard. This is not even a mechanical keyboard, but it does have programmable different colors you can put in there. Whoa, good stuff, and it's an okay keyboard. I do, however, have a nice mouse. This is the Logitech MX Vertical, so this is the mouse you hold like this. And I got it because I started noticing that my wrist was bothering me a little bit after a long day of editing, and I really think this fixed that problem. I haven't noticed that in a very long time. To be fair, since I've been editing here, I haven't been using this mouse because I never brought it with me, so I was able to switch back to a regular mouse for 6 or 8 weeks without an issue. But I do think long term this is a healthier thing for me to use. And then I also have, I talked about this at one point, this is just a USB 3 hub, which is great. These are my Bose Quiet Comfort 35s. I think that's what they are. They're from Costco. They're the ones that Costco sold, so they don't have the Google Assistant, but they were sold at the same time that the current QC35s did. So I don't know if that's like I guess there's some special model. I don't know, but I use these now when I'm actually editing, wired, of course, but also they're becoming very important because, as you may remember, this is the room with that guy in it. So when I'm running the air conditioner, I kind of need noise canceling headphones. So that's that. These have nothing to do with video editing. They're just there because it's convenient. All right, let's move on to the camera. This is the camera that I have been using for almost... Actually, let me see if I can figure out when I switched to this camera. if I am not mistaken, the first video that I used with this camera was no, that can't be right. It was probably the cassette tape video, because I'm pretty confident that that is when I bought this. I could actually look it up because I think I got it on Amazon. But anyway, it's been 2 years now, pretty much. So this is a Lumix G7. It is a micro four thirds camera from Panasonic, and it records in 4K. I have been, really? It shouldn't be. I've been recording, or I've been super impressed with this camera. It's now writing to a tiny, I can't stand micro SD cards because I think they're too small, but this Samsung 128 gig Evo thing. Can I get this back in one-handed? Ooh, almost. I can't, I'm not even looking directly at my hand, which makes this even more. This is a great behind the scenes video, isn't it? You are probably so enlightened by my behind the scenes. Oh man, this is so, yes. That down was not right protect. Or is up? Really? Okay, whatever. Anyway, so this has been my go-to camera. I really am impressed with it. The only bummer is that because it's a micro four thirds camera, let me take the lens off. The sensor is not very big because it's micro four thirds. So that means I don't really get very generous depth of field, but this is its kit lens. This is what it came with. This is a 14 to 42 millimeter, which the light's not hitting it right. Oh, fun fact about micro four thirds, which I only recently discovered. Also the lens is HD, so good to know. Micro four thirds, the 50 millimeter or 35 millimeter equivalent is exactly double. So if this were a 50 millimeter camera, the equivalent focal length is 28 to 84. So that's useful. So like 25 millimeters is a nifty 50 on a 35 millimeter camera. So I also have for this lens, this is not a very fast lens at all. If it says on there, 3.5 to 5.6. So it's extremely sharp, but I can't get much depth of field. My other lens is it's a prime 25 millimeter f1.4, I think, or 1.7. It's a much faster lens. So that's the one that I use when I shoot the talking head and some B-roll, but for most B-roll, I use this lens because it's just more versatile. But anyway, going back to the camera, it has, you can see it's a proximity thing for the eyepiece flashing away, which is interesting because I've turned that off. I got tired of it switching when I put my hand near it because it's got an electronic viewfinder. So I don't know why it's bothering to scan. That's a dumb firmware option. But I have one problem with this camera, and that is that with this, normally I have the screen one-handed is fun. Normally I have the screen sitting like this, and oftentimes it's not doing it now, of course it's not, but oftentimes it won't be responsive to touch, which is a problem because that's how you, when you're in manual focus, you can literally point at something and it will focus on that. So like for instance, if I want to focus on the Bose logo, I just do that, which it can't because it's too close. But see, so that's how you focus, that's how you do autofocus in manual mode. But the screen oftentimes goes non-responsive, and the only way to make it work is to actually push down on this like that to bend it a little bit. So the flex in that little joint is failing. So I really want to buy another one of these as a spare. Or I may upgrade to a better camera, but the thing is, because this is a 2-year-old camera, it's relatively inexpensive now, and part of me thinks a spare would make more sense than upgrading to maybe a full-frame camera where I'd have to get new lenses, but I have to weigh that decision just because it's definitely going to be more expensive to buy a new full frame camera, but also, you know, I can budget that, and then it will, you know, it will be a nice jump in quality for the videos. But anyway, so camera, I really, really like it. I will probably get another Lumix just because I like how it works. I'm impressed with its color science. I got somebody actually commented on the last video. They were like, I just want to say your color correction is really good. I didn't do any color correction at all. All I did was change exposure a little bit. I actually underexposed the last video a little bit too much. So I bumped the highlights up and bumped the exposure up a little bit, and that fixed it. Also among my kit but not pictured is a battery eliminator. The battery charger for this camera, it charges its battery pretty quickly. However, I only have the one battery for it, and if I run out of juice, it becomes really annoying because I basically have to stop. So I got a battery eliminator, and you will see that the battery compartment is even got that little cutout. So when you use the battery eliminator, you have that open like that, so the wire can come out of there. But I don't have that to show you because I'm missing one half of it. I don't know what I did with that. Yay me. But so far, I've been very impressed with this camera for video. It's not a great stills camera, but that's not what I'm using it for. Even though it is a pretty competent stills camera, apparently, like, video is definitely its forte. Which, did you know that forte is incorrect? It should just be fort. But that is even more pedantic than I want to be. But yes, Lumix, I'm impressed with Lumix cameras. My next camera will probably be another Lumix. If I don't upgrade, I will certainly get a spare, just so that way I know that I have this camera to use. Otherwise, I'll upgrade to one of their, I think they have a full frame camera now. I just really have to consider how much lenses are and what lens availability is, because the other nice thing about this being micro four thirds is that there's a gazillion lenses that would fit it. I don't know what lens mount their full frame cameras use. I want to say it might be Leica mount. I don't remember, but anyway, let's move on from the camera. Over here in the corner of the room is my trusty Bogan tripod. This was effectively a loaned to me tripod that basically has turned into a gift from that family friend of ours who really, I owe a lot to him because he basically got my YouTube stuff going, because I learned how to use a camera from his old cameras. That's the Canon F1 and T90 that are both in the set. And this tripod has proven invaluable because it is an extremely sturdy tripod. And he has, in fact, he has one more, but I don't know or I have one more, but I don't know where it is. Mounts that go with it. But this is a professional photography camera, so it is extremely, extremely beefy and very, very sturdy. And so this tripod has three individual. It's not a video tripod, as I have now learned the difference on that, because it doesn't have a pan handle. It has a handle for each individual axis. Axis, yeah, right? I don't know. It's probably axis, but this is really great. The legs are such that they normally extend here, but they have a depression, so if you pop this, they can stick out even further. So now, if I put this down, you'll see it has this incredible lean to it, and all the legs can do that. So you can get it very close to the ground. And originally that's kind of like for macro photography, but it's also come in handy for what I need it for. So then also, and I did post a photo of this when I first got it, but this is my teleprompter, my like legit one. I can lock it into the tripod, and then the camera sits through where the hole here, it would sit there. My tablet goes down here to display what I'm reading. Speaking of, this is that tablet. This is a very basic Windows 10, well actually it was Windows 8 when I got it, tablet. Also an in-house brand thing from Micro Center, but this I did not get to use as a teleprompter. I got it to use as a tablet. but it has been far more useful as a teleprompter. So and some people have asked, what do I use as a teleprompter app? Here's the problem. Okay, everything is backwards, so it's going to be a little different to figure this out, but I use an app called Screen Reader. And this was on the Windows Store at some point in the past. And it's not on the Windows Store anymore. And new versions of Windows 10 break the app. So I went through 2 updates on this machine where the next day the teleprompter app didn't work. So I had to roll it back, and this is on a very old version of Windows 10, and it just, you'll see, it can't connect to the internet. And its clock is probably pretty wrong. Let's see, how wrong is it? It thinks it's 6:02. It's actually 5:51, so it's not terribly off, but this tablet is just not allowed to get online anymore because all it does is my teleprompter stuff. So I just have a micro SD card in there, if it will focus. There you go. So there's just a micro SD card in there, and I spit the text file. And then this is what you see me reaching for in all of the bloopers. This is a Logitech keyboard mouse thing with the touchpad. This is what I'm using to control the tablet, and its one USB-A port is the receiver for this keyboard. So it's an antiquated solution that really nobody should probably use, but I'm used to it and it works, and I don't have a reason to improve it other than the actual teleprompter thing itself. So now this is very clear, very easy to read. I know how to control it with this thing, and it's intuitive enough. The only thing that's really frustrating about this app is that it does not save your previous settings. So every single time I am going to record something, I have to set the text size and scroll speed because it defaults all the way to the bottom every single time. So that's annoying, but I know what those numbers are. It is a scroll speed of about 57 and a text size of about 85. So they're just in my memory. La-di-da. And this is the last thing that I use in all of my videos, or almost all of them, and that is a slider, a motorized camera slider. So this is another reason why I'm so happy to have this tripod, because it can hold this extremely well, even though it is bulky and heavy. So a camera slider is something that the camera goes on, and I have to loosen that, and the camera can slide. But this one is motorized, so you may have seen this thing on my desk. This is its controller doohickey. Very weirdly, they made this special cable that goes into its stepper motor. It has a stepper motor. I'm pretty sure this exact motor is used in like all the cheap 3D printers. I don't know if it's got a part number on it anywhere. But anyway, so it's got a stepper motor, and it attaches to this belt. But the cable that they made for it terminates in USB-A, which is just really weird. I'm certain that USB signals are not going over this. I don't think it's a power and ground and then it's controlling the motor. I think they just use this cable because it's cheap, I guess. So anyway, this thing is made of Chinesium, as Ave would say, and I just pretty much started watching Abe's videos, by the way. I'm very late to that party. But anyway, so this, I really only use this in manual mode. And so the up and down arrows change the speed. And then the right and left arrows actually move the slider. So full speed is really quite fast. I'm not holding the camera steady at all. Let me switch hands. I was holding you left-handed. So full speed I have used very rarely, though I did use it for a couple shots in the air conditioner video. Mainly I have this set to something like 40. What did I let? 34. Fine. So that's just a very slow creep. And this type of slider, this center rail that you'll see here, the thing the camera's resting on pivots, so you can move these in and out, and you can see as I do that, the camera turns. So the point of that is, hang on. I'm doing a lot of things one-handed that really can't be done one-handed. So if you turn these like this so the bar is slanted, then as the camera moves, the camera also pans. So most of the shots that I've done, again, I'm holding this with the wrong hand. Oh boy. So all those B-roll shots that I've done where the camera is sliding, it's using this slider. This was just from Amazon. It works great. If you are looking for something like that, just search like motorized slider. It's from Great Video Maker. If I do say so myself, I think it's helped me make some pretty great videos. But yeah, I mean, this works really well. The automatic mode, which you have to turn it off and turn it back on to get back to. I haven't figured this out, because if you do auto loop, if you just like point it one way, it starts moving. And then if you point it the other way, it starts moving the other direction. But I don't know how to get it to like repeat that. And like you'll see that there's a direction BA, but like I don't know what this does. I haven't figured that out. So I have used this like to get a shot of it moving while I do something, like the shot in the air conditioner video where I turn the thermostat, but I have no idea how to make it actually loop. So it says auto loop. As far as I know, it's not actually a loop, it just runs automatically. So the one thing that I need to do for this, which I still haven't done, is it has a standard tripod mount on the bottom, but you can see I have to spin the camera to get it on. And I had to put a rubber washer on there so that way the camera actually rests firmly on this, because previously when the camera would bottom out, it would be pointing like that way, which didn't work super well. So it was always kind of loose. So that's my very temporary solution. But what I want to get is something that can hold the camera higher, and I can also tilt the camera. I don't know what those would be called, but like a tripod extension something. And I've found them online. I just haven't ordered them yet. But yeah, so this is my slider, and it goes on the very sturdy tripod, and it has been great. The only real limitation is, first of all, this thing does not have the best battery life, and unfortunately, it uses a lot of battery just being on. So I have to be careful to remember to turn it off. And the battery it uses is a Sony, the NP F750. Like, it's a very common battery pack, so you can get lots of replacements for it. But the charger it came with is just really bad. It doesn't hold on to this at all. It basically has to rest in the charger. So I have to put the charger in a vertical outlet with this kind of hanging in it. So I mean, it works, but I want to say mine must be defective, because I don't think any of them would be like that. But as far as just the slider in general, it's pretty well built. It travels very smoothly. The only thing I wish it had was a more competent mount solution included. But yeah, so when I'm done, I just park it in the middle, and then it has a carrying case that I will sometimes put it in. But now that I have all the space that I have in the studio, I just leave it out. Yay, because I'm going to use it again. So I found the battery eliminator thing, at least the important end. So this is, it plugs into the end of the power supply, and then this is just a little plastic piece that is in the size and shape of the battery with the contacts in the right place. So this is, they call it a DC coupler, but I just call it a battery eliminator because I think that's the traditional term. It is a DC coupler though, so And I won't spend much time on this because I've made an entire video on this, but my audio stuff is a Rode SmartLav Plus with a TRS to TR, or a TRRS to TRS adapter. Not going to repeat that again. and then a Tascam DR05, which is my go-to audio recorder for practically everything except ambient noise, because unless it has its own input, these mics are very, very electrically noisy. So there are situations where I don't use it, but typically this is what I use for most things, all talking head. And then honestly, for B-roll, most of the time when I record B-roll, I use the camera's audio. If there's something that I need recorded in, like ambient noise of the air conditioners or the mechanical noise of the record changer, I'm just using the audio coming from the camera's internal mics, because honestly, it's good enough for that purpose, and I've never had a reason to record audio separately. So if that's news to you, excellent. If you notice that, if you knew that I'm doing that and think I shouldn't, let me know. So that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this look into the stuff that I use to make the videos. And the one thing I didn't show is the tripod that my phone is on right now, which is just this is actually kind of interesting. So I bought this tripod when I was working for Disney. So it is now an at least 5-year-old tripod, and it then was called a Vista Explorer. And I wanted to get another cheap tripod just to have as a spare, and I bought it on Amazon maybe 6 months ago, not very long ago. And it's an Amazon Basics tripod, but it's the exact same thing. So I don't know if Amazon got Vista to, well, actually I should say Vista, who even knows what that brand is? So it could just be some Chinese tripod that's marketed under a whole different bunch of brands, or what. But anyway, the Amazon Basics tripod that you can, if you just go to Amazon and search tripod, it's like $20. It's the same thing. So it is not a very heavy duty tripod at all. So if you're using it outside, the wind will knock over your camera. Seriously, it is not a good tripod for outside work, but for inside stuff and just, I use it a lot for B-roll if I have a stationary shot. It works fine. So it's the cheap silver Amazon Basics tripod that back in the day used to be called the Vista Explorer. But what the actual model number is, I have no idea. But anyway, that's all the stuff that I use for making all your videos. Thanks for watching this video and the videos that I will make in the future. I see white balance is moving around a lot as I move my hands and stuff. Thanks. I will give an announcement to you since this is the first video that I'm making, and you'll get to know before everybody else. The rest of June, I'm working on physical projects, not video projects. I don't want to say I'm taking the rest of June off, but I'm definitely not going to try to get another video out before the end of June, because there's an outdoor project that I need to get going on, because I only have until July 24th to complete it. And so I want to get that going. And but what I will be making the video on in the interim for everybody is other improvements to the studio. There are 2 new set opportunities. Only one of them will probably be used as a set, but it has to do with me getting all of my various AV equipment finally together into one place, which is not only for my benefit because I can use them without having it be a nightmare, but also because on the other side of the room I'm making a sitting area, which I intend to make a little more whimsical, to use as possibly a set or some sort of discussion area. But I'll fill you in. You'll see that stuff probably by the end of next week. But for now, thanks for watching this behind the scenes video. And if you have any questions or comments or whatever, feel free to leave them either here on Patreon or in the video on the YouTube page. And if I remember, I will put a link to the video in the Patreon post. You can just click that. I'm really bad at remembering to do that, but I will try to remember. If I didn't do it when I posted this video, shame on me. And I told you so. Anyway, toodaloo.